At the end of this video, we'll take a look at Mad Ramp's innovative pivoting ramp system, the safer, easier way to transport your ATVs and snowmobiles. Stick around. Before we begin, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our friends at the historic Lancaster Motel in Lancaster, New Hampshire. The Lancaster Motel has been serving snowmobilers since the 60s, and they are the perfect eastern trail riding destination for snowmobilers young and old. The Lancaster Motel is right on Corridor Trail 5 in Lancaster, New Hampshire, with plenty of parking for vehicles, sleds, and trailers. Plus, the Lancaster Motel is within walking distance of Crane's Snowmobile Museum, plus restaurants, shopping, entertainment, and more. Click the link in the description to learn more about the Lancaster Motel. Good evening and welcome to the podcast. I'm really glad you're here tonight. We have a full lineup of vintage snowmobile entertainment ready for you tonight. In fact, in just a moment, we're going to have our good friend Patrick Goudreault on. He's going to do some show and tell with us, show us some of his sleds. But before we do, I want to make sure that everything is working properly. If you can see my face and hear my voice, I'm going to ask you to make a comment in the comment section. Let me know where you're viewing this from. Also, let me know if you're a first-time viewer or a regular viewer. And to both the first-time viewers and the regular viewers, I thank you so much for coming on tonight. The first-time viewers, I hope that you like what you see and you decide to join us each and every week here at 9 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday night. And to our regular viewers, I love you guys. You guys are the best. You guys are what make this podcast possible, coming back here every week. So you guys really mean a lot to me and to this podcast. So I thank you for that. Let's take a look now at the comments that are coming in. Brian Robillard, our good friend from Putnam, Connecticut. How you doing, Brian? And my phone is going nuts. I don't know why it does that, but Murphy's Law being what it is. Well, trying to turn it down. All right. I think I silenced it. Sorry for that intrusion. We also have Chris Perkins from Oklahoma. Thanks for coming on, Chris. We have Joe Mikowski from Thompson, Connecticut. We have Joe Spranger Jr., a regular viewer. He says regular and is always a great podcast. We thank you for that compliment, John. We have Chad Chevret from Gore Bay, Ontario, Canada. Thanks for coming on, Chad. Joshua Gilbert, a good friend of ours. He was on last week, and we're going to have him on again in the very near future from Priest Lake, Idaho. We have Alden Banks from Bristol, New Brunswick, Canada. We have my girlfriend, Carlene Perry. She says she can hear me loud and clear. Thank you, Carlene. And I lost my place. I've got so many comments coming in. Here we go. Sorry, this thing is just filling up so quickly I can't keep up with it. We have Petrangelo James from Flint, Michigan. We have Pete Ayers from upstate New York. Scott Verdun from Michigan, a regular viewer. I recognize that name. We have Chad St. Andrew from St. Ignace, Michigan. First time viewer, and I'm probably not pronouncing the name of that town. I've seen that on maps before, but I'm not sure how people pronounce that. But I thank you for coming on, Chad, to check us out. We have a Facebook user here again and sounding great as always. Thank you for coming on. We have regular viewers, Stacy and Art Fosler. Thanks for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it. Thomas Ryan, he's a regular as well from Tilson, New York. We have Joe Roseout, first time viewer from South Weymouth, Massachusetts. My tongue gets in a knot when I try to speak quickly as I am now, but thank you for bearing with me. We have Tom Gregory, a regular viewer from Armada, Michigan. George Papillon from Montreal, Canada, just an hour or so north of here. Thanks for coming on. We have George McPherson from Laval, Wisconsin. Thanks for coming on. Chris Perkins, first-time viewer from Bridge Creek, Oklahoma. Thank you for coming on, Chris. Greg Dibble from Canandaigua, New York. I've been there. There's a lake over there I've been on before. Okay, here we go. Beth Henning is on from Illinois. We're going to have an announcement from Beth here a little later in the program. We have George Zandbelt from Winchester, Ontario. We have Richard Brazo from Coltman, Wisconsin, first-time viewer. Thanks for coming on. Shane Stroud from Brazil, Indiana, watches often, and I thank you for doing that. We have someone from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. We have David Hogan from Miles City, Montana, first-time viewer. Thanks for coming on. Keith Ackerman from Milford, New York, regular viewer. Thank you for coming on, Keith. Glenn Ford from Glen Vernon, Connecticut. Jeff Forger. I think it's probably Forger, I'm thinking, from Oswego, New York. First-time viewer. Thanks for coming on. We've just got a few more here, and then we're going to bring our friend Patrick on. We have Colin Hoffman from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Lance Lukow from Fargo, North Dakota, I presume. Pat Lima, looking good, sounding good, from Southeast Missouri. Jim Layton from Maine, our good friend Jim Layton. He's been on here several times and will be again in the near future. All right, we've got Aaron Selly from Cabot, Vermont, a regular viewer. I know Aaron well, and thank you for coming on, Aaron. We really appreciate it. So let's not keep Patrick waiting any longer. Let's bring him on the stream, turn his microphone on. How you doing, Patrick?
How you doing, Mike?
It's good to have you on. I'm doing very well.
Thanks for having me.
Well, my pleasure. Now, anyone who watches this regularly knows that you are a familiar face. Your videos have been on here in the past, and it's nice to have you on here live.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And you've got some show and tell for us. I'm going to give you a chance to turn that camera around, and we're just dying to see what you've got in your shop there.
All right.
And while he's turning that camera around, please make comments, ask him questions, pay him compliments. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to like what you see here. He's got some great sleds and some great things to show us, and I'm going to put him full screen. The show is yours, my friend.
All right. So you want to just check out all the sleds in here?
Yes, absolutely. If you could tell us a little bit about each one.
Let me get the light on.
All right.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, that's a big difference. That looks nice.
Yeah. So that's a 73 Elon SS.
Nice.
So the real thing about this, they always recalled to put a single carb on it. But this one's got the twin carb still in.
Twin carb, nice.
There's a big difference. But they're a little sluggish out of the hole, but they get a lot of power with the two carbs.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is I'm a do guy, but I got this cat. It's a Wankel. It's a pretty cool sled, 71. Panther.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. That's a nice shape.
Yeah, it's fun. I get a cat cutter. I pull with it, and the dog and my daughter jumps in it, and we putt around.
Nice.
This is a 82 Elite, 440 liquid cooled.
Yeah.
I got this a few months ago, and I went through it and stuff. Put a spotlight on the top. It's pretty nice sled.
Oh, yes.
It's fun to ride around. Everybody wants to jump in it, go for a ride.
I'll bet it is. I've never been in one of those. How do those handle? What's that like to drive one of those?
Well, they get two tracks. They want to go straight. So,
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, sharp corners. It's got reverse in it. So, but on groomed trails, it goes pretty damn good.
Nice.
Fun machine.
Sure.
This is a 76 RV, TNT RV 340. And
that's a sharp sled. That's the sled that you had at the crane show the day we met last year, I think.
Actually, no, this is the 340. I'll show you the one I bought there.
Sure. All right, getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Sure.
That would be this 250 RV.
Yes, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. But the same sled, different motor. Same
Sure.
year, 76. This one's a little more rare.
Nice.
They made 1,800 of these.
1,800. Wow.
Yeah. They made twice as many of the 340s. So this is a 73 TNT Free Air 400. They built it off the Blizzard chassis.
Nice.
And I put an Elon seat on it, and it did pretty good in its day. Oval track racing. And
yes.
In 74, they had the same sled, but they changed it all to with steel cross member and stuff like that, so it would last longer. But this is a great sled right there, real fast.
Nice. Very nice. Now, we do have some questions coming in, and I'll let you decide if you want to show us some more things or if you want to respond to these questions. But we've got fine. Jeff Forger asking if you can open the hood on that Panther.
On the Panther?
Yeah. The Wankel rotary he wants to see.
No problem. It's got leaves and everything in there.
Nice. Very cool.
I haven't run it this year, but I brought it in here because I was gonna get it going.
Very nice.
But that's it.
That's cool.
It's not very fast, but it's got a little torque on the bottom, so it's a pretty cool sled.
Nice. So with the low end torque like that, does it make it easier in the powder? Make it a little harder to get it stuck?
Yeah, it just trucks along like a train. It just goes. It goes pretty good in deep snow.
Nice. Yeah. Now, while you're there near the Elan, Jim Layton had a question about the Elan. He was wondering, is that the same motor that was in the 73 Silver Bullet 294 in that Elan? He's wondering about that.
No, it's a 250.
It's a 250.
Yeah. So in 73, they did Silver Bullet with the dual carbs too. The same exact carbs, but this 250, deep snow and stuff, it kind of floods itself out a little bit.
Sure.
So they recalled them. They put a single carb on them.
Gotcha. Very nice. And then Alden Banks is saying that he likes that 400 TNT Free Air, which I have to say, that is a sweet machine.
That's my favorite.
Oh, it is?
No, the 250 wins every prize, but this one never does. But this is my favorite right there. So
yeah, those had a lot of character.
Used to race this back in 73, I guess.
Yeah.
72, 73. It's real fast. It's really light. The handle's awesome.
Nice.
It's so light because everything's aluminum, so it's a pretty cool sled.
Yeah. Now, John Spranger Jr. has said that he used to race a 73 Free Air, and he says they were great sleds, so he agrees with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got the they call it Kelsey. Kelsey Hayes disc brakes. 74 to put the cable brakes in it. It's got the hold on, open this. We got big Tilsons in there. So the cross members aluminum.
Yeah. So
people that trail rode these things, they all bent and broke. So they usually welded in there, but this was a good one that never broke. They didn't do much trail ride with this one.
Nice. So they didn't beat on that one.
No, every other one I ever seen was always, welded up and stuff. So this is pretty good.
That's cool.
You want to see the 292?
Please, yeah.
So this is a 71 292 TNT. So my dad, my brother, another guy, they used to race this, not this sled, but the same model. On Star Speedway every weekend. They got a lot of trophies with it, but this is a different sled. I just got this one when through it to remake what my father had. So pretty
Yeah,
cool
that's
stuff.
a nice way to preserve those memories.
Yeah. So this is was in the paper back then, and there's my father's race sled with Andy Gonis driving it.
Wow, and that's the same sled.
Yep, Gonis
No
won
kidding.
Star Speedway. Yeah, it's pretty cool, and that's my father owned it right there. So cool
Wow.
stuff. So this guy that raced it, he passed away, but he gave me that clipping.
Wow, that's cool.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, Jeff Forger has a question. He's wondering what was the TNT with the triple in it around 76? He's wondering if that was a 773 or was that possibly a 797 like that sled that was on here last week?
What year did you say?
76. Because I know Jim Layton
they
had
didn't
a
have a
797
triple
last
in
week.
76. They had it in 72, 71, 70, 73. Blizzards. TNT's triples were those were blizzards actually. The big 775 twin TNTs, like 71.
Yeah.
Like that with that chassis right there.
Yeah.
Because
Jim Layton had a triple last week. Because Jim Layton was on here last week with a 797 triple Blizzard. I wonder what year. I can't remember what year that was though. I wonder if that's what Jeff is asking about, or.
I'm pretty sure that was a 71.
Okay, yeah.
That triple, like, what was it, a 72? They're trying to think.
Yeah, you're right. That was early 70s.
Were the Cabrias up on his lap? Because the 72s, they dropped the engine. Yeah, I thought that was a 71. I had a 72. I think you're right. I sold it, and I'm not happy about that. I sold it years ago.
I bet. Seller's remorse.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then Alden Banks is saying he had one of those T&T 400 free airs and worked good back in the day. And we've got Richard Brazo. He's wondering what the estimated horsepower is in the 76 RV 250. Any thoughts about that?
I believe it's 46 horsepower.
46, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the 250 is like 43, but when you drive them, the 340s feels a lot more powerful than the 250.
You can feel the difference.
Yeah.
Sure.
This one has 48, I believe.
48.
The TNT 400.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that moves right along, I can imagine.
Yeah, this thing's fast.
Nice. And then Jim Layton is confirming that was a 1971 last week, that 797 Blizzard.
Yeah, I thought the motor was up. It was up, yeah.
And then Aaron Sully is complimenting you on the nice sleds.
Yeah. A lot of work. I got these all. They weren't that good a shape when I got them, but we worked hard on them.
Yeah, they're looking fine right now.
Yeah.
Now, in previous conversations, you'd mentioned that you'd done some racing in the past. I wonder if you could give us a few highlights on your racing history.
Yeah, well, I drag raced. I started drag racing probably late 80s. Like,
yeah.
In the 90s, I started like getting real serious, traveling. And I stopped racing in 2013 or something like 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got up. So I raced stockers in the 90s. I got improvers. I built a bunch. So that's that was my Pro Stock 1000 right there.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I won some national events with that.
Yeah.
Epping, Ohio Snow Bash. Yeah. I went to Canada and raced. That's another sled I built.
Nice.
Yeah, I built a bunch of race sleds and had a good time.
Those trophies up above, are those from showing the sleds or racing the sleds or a mix of both? Or
they're mixed in.
Yeah.
The plaques are mostly from the stock sleds I raced in the 90s, Northeast Grass Rags. The trophies are mixed, radar runs and all the big races I won, like national events. I didn't get no trophies. Got money and stuff, but
money's always good. Yeah,
I get some trophies from like Ohio Snow Bash. We got some trophies up there from them.
Nice.
But it's fun.
Very cool. Now, can you give us a close up on that clock?
What's that?
Can you give us a close up on that clock?
Oh, the old Rotax.
Oh, look at that.
I think it's he's like it's the early 70s. I don't know if it's a
That's
335 Olympic motor or could even be a 292. It
Wow.
was in the cellar. My father was a dealer, and it was sitting down there for years, and I put a little clock on the front of it.
That's very clever. I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, your day job, Patrick, you have a small engine repair shop.
Yeah.
And I know you're in Massachusetts. I wonder if you could tell us the town that you're in, so if anyone's in the area, that they might try to patronize your shop if they're nearby.
Yeah, Haverhill, Mass. You know, we do lawnmowers and snow throwers. I used to do snowmobiles, but I'm too busy with mowers and snow blowers, so that's what I do now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And if anyone,
full of them right now.
yeah. Now, if anyone's in your area that might want to contact you about having a snowblower or a lawnmower repaired, are you game to share a phone number in case someone might like to reach you?
It's 978-373-3431.
Yeah.
And we're 2 weeks behind.
2 weeks behind. Yeah, I bet this time of year with the snowblowers. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of snow this year.
Sure. Well, cool. Well, any final thoughts before we wrap it up? Or
No, really. Thanks for having me on, though.
Yeah, it's definitely our pleasure. We appreciate your coming on. I know we've been talking about this for quite a while, and it's nice to finally have you come on.
Actually, I'll show you one thing. So this sled right here.
Yes.
So this clutch right here is it's a Polaris design clutch that Skiroule bought the rights to. They kept blowing up, so they had a recall. So they put the other Skiroule clutches back on.
Gotcha. So they put another clutch on there.
I think it's called a HP clutch, I believe. Yeah. But that's it.
Well, good deal. Good deal. We're getting a lot of compliments coming on. Are you able to see those on the screen, the compliments that are coming in?
No, no.
Okay.
No.
That's all right. We've got Joe Rosat was saying nice machines. We've got David Noon saying hi, Patrick. We've got David Hogan saying great show, loves the sleds. And David Noon is asking if you have any of Scott Gleed's sleds.
Scott Gleeds is at my shop right now.
Oh, he is?
Not this shop. Yeah. He was my best friend growing up. So that's his nephew, I believe.
Oh, so David is Scott's nephew.
He passed away a few years back from cancer. He was I grew up with him. That's me and him rode snowmobiles every day. But
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I still got it. It's in perfect shape. It's at the shop. I was actually working on it.
Gotcha. We'll have to have you on another time with that.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing as this one right here. We bought them together.
Oh, you bought them together?
Yeah, it's the same exact thing in this. The 340.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and one last thing. I know in previous conversations we've had, you mentioned that when you were young as a child, your father had a dealership and had a few different brands that he sold. Can you give us the quick story on that?
Yeah, in the 60s. Actually, there's an ad right here. So it's the same shop that I have now. So it was back in the 60s. He had right here. Who's that? Stockcraft.
Yeah.
There's another ad. So that must have been Snow Cub. He sold Snow Cubs.
Yeah.
Yardman Snow Cubs. And I think there's a picture of you can't get a good view of it. But that's not Snow Pony. I forget the name. But then he got Skidoo in 71, I believe. And that was till 75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Good deal. Good deal. Well, yeah, I really appreciate your coming on, Patrick.
All right. Well, I loved it. Thanks for having me.
All right. Me too. All right. We'll catch up with you soon.
Take it easy, bud.
All right. You too, man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was a lot of fun. And I appreciate everyone making the comments for Patrick. That really made it special that we could have that interaction. So I thank you for that. Now, let's take a look at the schedule here of what's going on. Now, we were going to have Mike Mahar on. He's a heavy hitter in the vintage space. He's part of the VSCA. He does their publication, and he also is in charge of and organizes the Central Minnesota Pond Racing. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it tonight, so we're going to have him on in the near future. So I apologize for that, but we've not lost him. We just it's just going to take a little longer is all. But we do have a few announcements. Let's see. We have Dwight Miller sent me an email over the week, and he said he got back to snowmobiling and bought a very nice 1988 Panther 440. He loves the vintage sleds, old sled for an old man, looking to join a vintage club somewhere around Newburgh, Maine, if there is any. And he's wondering if we can help him out, steer him in some kind of direction for who might have some parts for his 1988 Panther 440. So the question I'm posing to you guys is, do you guys know of any vintage clubs in or near Newburgh, Maine, or in Maine at all? If you know of anything like that, please leave it here in the comments, and Dwight will be monitoring the comments to try and find that. Now, speaking of the comments, I encourage people to post items for sale or items wanted. All I ask is that you keep the conversation clean and keep it about snowmobiles. It can even be modern snowmobiles, preferably vintage snowmobiles, but it's okay to have modern snowmobiles as well. I'd like this to be a community. And the nice thing about the Facebook algorithm is once this live podcast is over, the algorithm continues to serve this podcast up to people to view over the next week. So if you've made a comment in here posting something for sale or something that you're looking for, come in and check every few days to see if anyone has responded to your comment. With that in mind, we do have a sled for sale here. This is I got a few days ago from Beth Henning. Now, her and her husband have this sled for sale. This is a 1990 Ski-Doo Formula Plus 500. It's one of only 149 made. It's a race sled, and she's wondering if anybody on here has any idea of where they could find out what this sled is worth. So if you know what this sled could be worth, or if you're curious about it, please post in the comments. Or also, if you're curious about buying this sled, call the number you see on your screen. So what do we have next here on the agenda? I also want to mention that we offer advertising here on this podcast. We have packages that start as low as $2.99 per month. A package like that, all you do is send me some digital images relating to your business. I'll make a nice graphic like the one you see on the screen, and we'll talk up your business for 60 seconds each episode. That's what it would be for $2.99 a month. If you want to get more elaborate than that, like the messages you see at the beginning of this program, that would be a little more, but we can certainly talk about that. And I also have other platforms to do with snowmobiling, cars, trucks, boats, ATVs, snowmobiles. If you're looking to market anything in that kind of space, I can help you with it. I have multiple Facebook pages and groups as well as YouTube channels. So what do we have next on the agenda tonight? Now, last week, you may recall Lewis Lunn being inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame from 2018. And one of the things that was discussed during that induction is that back in the 70s, he was racing for Chaparral, and he was one of the first drivers to drive on those experimental independent front suspension sleds as they were starting to develop those. And I managed to catch him for an interview after his induction, and we kind of delved into that topic of what it was like testing those independent front suspension sleds. He's also got a great story about a spectacular wipeout that he had, and he's going to tell us about that as well as a few other things. So let me bring him up on the screen here.
Started racing for Polaris.
Let me back it up to the beginning.
Hi, I'm Lewis Lunn. I've started racing snowmobiles in the late 60s. Through 73, started racing for Polaris, small dealership in Harvard, Mass, and doing mostly drag racing. Got me into it, and got invited to go race full sleds on the circuit, and that we did. Had a great time at it, had some success.
Nice.
And, made a lot of good relationships. Felt very, very fortunate in my racing career. I only got off the sleds 2 different times in the 5 years that I raced, and one time at Wolfboro, New Hampshire, the sled had upset, and I couldn't clear it. Hit that, and got a little bit of a concussion, but I don't know if it still lasted today or not. I think I'm over. It was probably, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
I think
that rang your bell pretty good, did it?
Yeah, it wasn't terribly bad, but enough that I didn't know right where I was or why I was there for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So other than that, it's been very good. Had some really great people, great mechanic because we had good success with I race only 650s in the two classes. I raced my 650 in the 800 class, and fortunately had good success there. My mechanic was very sharp and good. He got everything that was in the sled.
Nice.
So
we were able to put it all on the track.
Put it all on the track, and so that was good. We had great with Chaparral. I went from Polaris to Chaparral because of distributor changing. It wasn't anything to do with Polaris or the sleds, but the distributor had changed, and they wanted me to go to Metalka in New York. Stay with Polaris, but it would have been all down around New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and that. And just, at the time, I'm 77 and I'm still in my own business. I'm still working.
Wow, good.
So, it just would have been too much traveling for me. So, I was invited to stay with the distributor in Chaparral, and that was a great experience. Got out west, got to see some different things. We done some testing for them on the new IFS independent front suspension sleds, and probably under the open wheel racer, which the picture showed. I got a personal chance to meet with him and chat with him, and so for I guess a young whippersnapper, it was pretty fortunate, I thought.
Nice.
And made some good relationships there. We had a close relationship with the Nickerson, Gary Nickerson, who run the New York division for Chaparral Racing, and had a good friendship and stuff, working back and forth with them, information, passing information and things. So, other than that, a lot of, just the second thing that happened to me on the track, it was up, I think it was Newport, Vermont, we were racing, and I had just, the Chaparral, it was early in the season, it might have been second or third race on the Chaparral, and we had done some qualifying, and I don't know if we was in a qualifying run or a final, but I come out of the second turn, and on my left eye, I noticed something moving like this. I looked down, and my ski was broadside. It wasn't forward, it was broadside.
It flipped around.
And I was coming out of the turn with full power on, so my skis were off the ground, fortunately. So I knew what was going to happen. And so what I did was I stood up, let off of the throttle, and jumped at the same time.
Wow.
I cleared the sled pitch poled end over end, I don't know how many times, and I never went off my feet. I landed on my feet, and they said I was doing steps at about 25 feet each,
Yeah.
and about probably 40, 50 miles an hour when I lit on the track.
Good God.
So it got a rise out of the crowd.
That would be something to see.
It was. Everyone said it was kind of a comical act in a way, but yet, so I was, like I said, as far as being on the track with accidents and that, was very, very close. And then the only other bump I had, which I mentioned before, was the Cal Reynolds and I, and
that was a good story.
I give him quite a bump. I guess I was probably about as aggressive as a guy could be.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're going to win, you can't sit back and think about it. You got to get out front and get it done.
Yeah, you don't go there to lose, right?
No. We didn't go to lose. And, but knowing at the time, we were having a great time doing it, and never thought anything about a Hall of Fame or being the name on the wall of the museum or something,
Sure.
I just thought we'd doing that someday, be all done of it. I might look at back at some of my old things. I never thought that we would have this happen. And, so
yeah, it's wonderful it's still kept alive.
It really is. Midge and Paul, just what they're doing here, you know, and others.
Sure.
You know, the stuff yourself and all that, you know, bringing back. And I think the snowmobilers and even people who might not be much in snowmobiling kind of say, gosh, that'd probably be half interesting, you know.
Yeah.
And so probably there were some interesting characters
Sure.
involved in it. So
Yeah.
other than that, you know, I guess that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Sticking to it. Nice.
All right.
Oh, one final thought. Do you have any memories or thoughts about those early IFS sleds? You were the one that tested some of those first
Well,
iterations of that, right?
Yeah, they were so much quicker, you know, that the suspension, the independent suspension, I had it the first year before anyone else had it, and not I don't know if you want to brag about it or not, but I guess I've heard it said that if it happened and you can do it, you're not bragging about it.
Sure.
But I had seen some movies that were taken, you know, when we were racing, and like when I had that IFS, the Chaparral, like the race would start and we come out of the second turn and around the corner, and I'd be halfway down the back stretch and they're just coming out, and you know, if you had like a quarter or half-mile track, within 3 to 5 laps, I'd be lapping everybody. The sled was just tremendous. And
Must corner 100% better, I would think.
Oh God, just, you know, I never hardly had to let off the throttle. You know?
So even then, with the first early experiments with that suspension, you knew that was the future of snowmobiling?
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely was, you know, and well, they all went to it, so
Sure, yeah.
It wasn't a mistake, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know? And it was a way that every factory, you know, followed suit there.
Sure.
Somewhat.
And I imagine the whole industry took notice of that when they started coming out with the IFS sleds.
Oh yeah, I absolutely did.
They knew everyone knew that was the future.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good.
Very, very, very.
And my microphone was muted. We are really polished here tonight. I don't know why that. What I was saying is I don't know why his video stopped like that. There was probably another 30 seconds or so to go. But yeah, that was Lewis Lunn. He had just been inducted that day into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, and I managed to catch him for a few comments after and get an interview with him, talking about those early days with those independent front suspension sleds. He was one of the first riders to test those, and he had some great stories. The story about that wipeout was really spectacular. Now, this was all part of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame induction ceremony back in 2018, and I'd like to talk to you about that for a moment. I'd love for you to join us at the next induction ceremony of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. It's going to be Saturday, September the 11th, 2021, 1 p.m. Eastern Time at Crane's Snowmobile Museum in Lancaster, New Hampshire. It's a great time, and it gets bigger every year. A couple of things if you're planning to join us at the ceremony. You want to get there early, and you want to bring lawn chairs so you can get your spot all staked out there. Then once you've got your spot staked out, then you're going to have time, if you get there early, to go into the museum and check out. There's over 100 sleds in the museum. You can walk around the museum, check out all the sleds in there. You're also able to mix and mingle with inductees, past, present, and future, and it's just a wonderful time. Now, if you're planning to come any distance for the induction ceremony for the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, the best place to stay is just down the street, a short walk away at the Lancaster Motel, because that is where they have the after party after the ceremony. And it's just a short walk away from the museum and the ceremony. And once the after party winds down, it's just a few steps to your room, and you can call it a night, just like that. Now, another thing about the Lancaster Motel is right now they've got a 2-for deal, where if you're interested in riding, doing some trail ridings in historic Lancaster, you can get 2 nights for the price of 1 if you go there during the week, and you can ride those historic trails. Not many people know this, but Lancaster, New Hampshire was the first, how do I say this? The first snowmobile club in America is the Lancaster Snowmobile Club. So you can ride on some of the earliest trails that people ever rode on in the United States. And if you contact the club, they'll tell you what some of those legacy trails are, because they've had trails they've made since then. But some of those legacy trails do still exist, and you can ride on those. So that's something to consider. You're also a short walk away from the Lancaster Museum, so you can come do some trail riding, spend some time at the museum. There's a corner of the museum dedicated to the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, so you can see the wall with all of the inductees on it. Now, if you are planning to come up for that, you want to call ahead to the museum to make an appointment, because it is by appointment only. So once you've booked your room at the Lancaster Motel, then call over to the museum and make your appointment for that. Now, last thing about booking this two-for deal that I'm talking about, two things you need. One, you need to have a valid card from a snowmobile club. It could be your local club, or if you're not affiliated with a club, you can also join the Lancaster Snowdrifters. And the card you get from that club is something you can frame. You can show people for years to come that you were a member of the first snowmobile club in America. So for a small fee, you get something you can put on your wall, and it helps you get that discount. The other thing you need to take advantage of that 2-for-1 discount during the week at the Lancaster Motel is tell them that you heard about it from me, from Mike at VintageSnowmobileLovers.com. You can see my name at the bottom of the screen right there. It's hard to line your hand up with the camera. So tell them you heard about it from me, because the people at the Lancaster Motel and Crane Snowmobile Museum are all good friends of mine. So tell them that you heard about it from their friend, Mike at Vintage Snowmobile Lovers. Okay, so what else have we got on the agenda tonight? We have footage from Brian Robillard. Now, Brian Robillard was at the Hobbs Vintage Snowmobile Show in Ossipee, New Hampshire a couple of weeks ago, and he was kind enough to take some footage for us and shared it with us. So let's take a look. There we have it. That was footage from Brian Robillard from the Hobbs Vintage Snowmobile Show in Ossipee, New Hampshire. I think that was January, was it 30th or 31st? I think it was 30th, whatever that Saturday was. And we thank Brian very much for getting that footage for us. He's planning to go to a show this weekend, or possibly planning to go to a show this weekend in Rutland, Vermont, and he's going to try to take some more of that kind of footage for us. And that's the thing I'd like to ask people too. If you're going to vintage snowmobile shows or races or any kind of vintage events, if you've got your cell phone, please take that out and take some footage for us. We'd love to have that on the show, and we will give you full credit, of course. And I'm looking for a graphic. If you just decide to try and take footage like that with your cell phone, please hold it horizontally like you see here, not vertically. It's very difficult to work with vertical footage in my editing equipment. So if losing my voice here, if you're planning to take some footage for us to share on here, for all of us to enjoy, please hold your camera horizontally for a wide shot and not vertically. And I do encourage you to do that. Also, if you want to walk around your sled and talk it up with your cell phone, same idea. Just hold it horizontally for a wide shot, and I would love to share that on the program. This is a great way to have a nice community of all of the vintage enthusiasts where we all do show and tell and share things with each other. And this is a way for the community, for all of us to see what each other is doing, see what's happening in the vintage community in more or less real time. So I thank you in advance for that. So next up, we've got an interview with Paul Crane. This is an interview I did with Paul back in 2017. Let's cue that up and let's meet Paul Crane.
Yeah. My name is Paul Crane, and this is Crane Snowmobile Museum. And I started collecting, you might as well say, in 1961 machines. I've had most of these over 40 years. And I got started with Timberland Machines selling logging equipment for Bombardier, which Timberland Machines was the distributor for Bombardier. And in '58, Armin Bombardier called my boss up, Bob Bottoms, and said they had a new product they want us to look at to sell. We went up to Valcourt. It was a Skiroule similar to the 60 and 61, but it was a wooden side frames and everything, steel with wood sides, and it was a prototype. And I rode that down down the main street, which was in Valcourt, which was all gravel at the time.
Wow.
And that's how I got started. Then we came back and we tried selling them. And we only brought one into the States in December 5th of 1959. And it was a serial number 60-22.
Wow.
Which is the first one in the United States. And I rode that all over the place here. And of course the skis broke, they were made out of wood.
Oh, wow.
And later down the road, they came out with the 61, and that had some wooden skis too, same style, with a 7-horse coal on it. And up in Canada, they had at first they had the J-Lo motor on it. And but down here, we put Kohler motors on the machines. The motors were shipped from Wisconsin, and we put the Kohler motors on the Skidoos, which were 61 Skidoos, and we sold, Timberland sold them
Nice.
to the dealers.
But that was a popular item in these parts.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Good.
The first time we had the 61s riding in this field here beside us, these people would stop in the cars just to look because they'd never seen anything like that.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. That would stop traffic, I bet.
I sold one of them to one of my friends, which was a trapper at the time. We went way up in the Phillips Brook and the Colebrook area and everything, and you know, nobody look at the tracks and what the devil's that? You know, nobody is up there unless you snowshoe.
Sure, and see the tracks on the ground.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah. So
Good.
it's been interesting.
I'll bet.
For a lifetime.
Yeah, that's you got in just at the right time.
Right.
You experienced the whole
Yeah. So,
the whole episode, the whole ride of it.
right.
Well, good. Yeah, so that was Paul Crane. What an amazing guy. He was there from the very beginning. As you saw in the interview there, he was the first American in the U.S. or Canada to ride a Ski-Doo snowmobile. He rode the first one that was imported into the U.S. and also the company he was working for at the time set up the first dealers in the U.S. for Ski-Doo snowmobiles. So he was there at the very beginning. And that's you heard me talking a moment ago about the Lancaster Motel, how you can book your room there, get a 2-for-1 deal during the week, and you can also go down the street just a short walk away to Crane's Snowmobile Museum. That's where he was. That's Paul Crane of Crane's Snowmobile Museum, and you can make an appointment. It is by appointment only at the museum. You can make an appointment to meet with Paul Crane himself and hang out with him and ask him questions about those early days in 1959 when he rode the first Ski-Doo in the U.S. and in Canada. Heck of a guy, and he's got quite a museum there. So what else we've got? We've got some footage of a 1973 Skiroule 440 RT. Now this is footage that was shared to me by, I think it's the Vintage Machines YouTube channel a few years ago for another project I was doing, but it's really cool footage of a nice example of one of these Skiroules, and there's some cool footage of him riding around with it. Let's take a look. So there you have it. We have officially been ski-ruled. Yeah, so don't ski-rule that guy out. I like that power slide he did. That was pretty cool. Hey, question, if you guys are paying attention on that at the end there with the footage of that sled in the springtime on the trailer, what was the car in front of that? Was it an old Plymouth? It looks to me like that was an old Plymouth from the late 60s. I know my 70s cars pretty well, but 60s, I was real little at that time, so I wasn't quite as up on all the different makes and models, but I think that might have been a Plymouth. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not sure. But yeah, one last thing, we're going to have some footage here of an early 70s, early 70s Arctic Cat 340 Panther. But before we do, I have to apologize. I neglected to mention this earlier in the program. I wanted to give a shout out to our good friends at the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, because we are simulcasting this podcast on their Facebook group for the first time tonight. The first time, but probably not the last time. We'll see how it goes over there. I'm sure they're going to be enjoying this. And if you're viewing this on the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame Facebook group, please make a comment and give us a shout out. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, so one last video before we call it a night. Let me find it here and get it queued up. This is also from the Cranes Vintage Snowmobile Show. I know I'm showing a lot of things from the Cranes Museum tonight, but that's just what I had handy this week. I've got plenty of footage from other places too, but this is what was handy. This is from the Cranes Vintage Snowmobile Show in February of 2017. This is an Arctic Cat that I saw that I really liked. These are my favorite types of cats. 72 is probably one of my favorite years for those vintage cats, because we had a 72 Cheetah when I was a kid. This is a 72 Panther, which is very similar. And yeah, let's take a look. Yep, so that was a really cool Arctic Cat that I saw at the Crane Show in 2017. I just had to get some footage of it. That's pretty much all we have for you tonight. I thank you so much for joining us, both the first-time viewers and the regular viewers. For the first-time viewers, I thank you for coming by to check us out. I hope that you like what you saw and that you will decide to join us here each and every week, every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope to see you here again sometime soon and often. Now, to our regular viewers, I thank you guys so much for coming here every week. It means so much. That's what keeps this thing going. And to the first time and regular viewers, I will ask you this favor. If you could share this either on your profile, your social media profile, or on the profile of a friend who you think might enjoy this, if you could share that, or share it in a private message. But if you could share this in whatever way you can, it would mean a lot to me. It helps to grow the program, and it's friendly to the Facebook algorithm and the YouTube algorithm, whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube. This podcast, by the way, simulcasts in 8 different places on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're able to share that, it really helps to grow the program, and it's a great way to support the podcast. It doesn't cost you a darn cent, but it sure helps the program. It's friendly to the algorithm. It tickles the algorithm. And, you know, we all know that algorithms love to be tickled. They're weird like that. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for watching. We will catch you on the other side after this quick word from Mad Ramps.
It's the ultimate combination of simplicity and ingenuity. The newest way to load, unload, and transport your ATV or UTV. The Mad Ramps Pivoting Ramp System. Made in the USA and engineered for strength and durability. Maneuver through tight places and over rugged terrain with plenty of ground clearance. No licensing, no ongoing maintenance costs, and no storage hassles like trailers. Won't slip or move like conventional ramps. Free up more cargo space in the bed of your truck. Securely connects to your truck's receiver hitch. Easily extends for safe loading and unloading. Seamlessly retracts for highway and off-road travel. DOT approved in all 50 states and Canada. Quickly disconnects in under a minute. A unique space-saving storage system. The MadRamps Pivoting Ramp System. Go farther. Go faster. Go safer.
When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs. When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs.